Channel. Look, before we get started on this Continuum decode, I need to share a local story with you that I found out about last night during a town hall meeting, a local town hall meeting. You guys, the long arm of control reaches even into the most rural communities. I couldn't believe what I heard last night. Now, I was a little bit late to this meeting, so I didn't get all the details, and I promised to follow up on this for you guys, get actual news story other than hearsay. But there were some public officials, that's all I'll say, who were at the meeting for the school district that's here. And so what happened? Let me explain it to you. Apparently, a text message went out to every single student in the local school district claiming there was an active shooter. This is way out here in rural Arkansas, you guys, in the school district that I live in. They claim there was an active shooter. I couldn't even believe it. I don't know. Maybe Cheryl heard something about this. I'm on Facebook, but I don't keep up with all the details and stories, you know, just because I'm busy 24/7 with all this stuff that I do here. Right. But maybe Cheryl heard about it. Who people are maybe following the Facebook groups a little bit more closely and hearing the events that are taking place. Text message went out after school hours saying there was an active shooter at the school. So the students were freaked out. They were like, do we come back to school tomorrow? What is going on? Now, of course, you guys know how I feel about everything that they do to our students. You know, what good is all this fear that they're putting on the students, these drills and everything? Is it doing more harm than it is good? You know, when they're getting all these practice drills. I remember when we had the bus emergency day. Remember that? When we were children, we go to school and they're like, it's bus emergency day. And you know what? I was actually kind of excited about it. It was kind of fun. You know, you get in the bus and they had those high seats and they're like, okay, everybody put your hands on the seat in front of you. And then they drive the bus about 5 miles an hour and then they'd slam on the brakes. Right. And we'd all be laughing and giggling. You know, sometimes we'd throw our friend's head into the seat to freak them out, you know, just stuff like that. Fun stuff. But this has reached a whole new level. These students don't even know if things are real or not. And this is done intentionally. They're like, you have to treat a drill as if it's real. Well, that is psychological trauma on the children. It's psychological trauma. And then this begs other questions. Why all of a sudden is there a rash of this kind of thing over the past since the Obama presidency? Why? Why were students, okay, do any of you live in the South? Let's get some real-time information here because they're not going to tell us the truth. Okay, let's go into the chat here and talk to you guys about this. Real people, right? For those of you that live in the South who are 50 years old or older, okay? Do you remember when you were children and you would you could bring your guns to school? Were there a bunch of school shootings? Now, I know there were a lot less people back then, but something's changed, hasn't it? And literally, my friend, who is the president of this local association, told me this was the case. She's like, yeah, we used to bring guns to school all the time. Nobody shot anybody. But for some reason, this is happening now, right? So, let's go into the chat and see who of you remember a time where you could actually bring guns to school and show your friends. Wow. I know I just aged a bunch of people and I apologize, but, look, we're all friends here, right? So Eric said he did in Alaska. So there you go. There you go. So for some reason, something's changed. No one wants to talk about what's changed. They don't want to talk about it. You know, because you know what? If they had to have a real discussion about what's changed, They would have to admit all kinds of things, wouldn't they? They would have to admit that the reality that they created for our children is causing the violence. It's not that parents are becoming more violent. It's not that children are naturally becoming more violent. It's either something they're eating, something they're being injected with, or something they're being exposed to, like maybe a violent video game with guns in it, or maybe movies that depict violence that have... Now, of course, back then, they still had violent movies. They had Westerns and all that. So I'm not even sure it's about the guns and all this. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks for the super chat. Much love to you for that. So something is wrong, as we say on this channel, right? We too low, bing dang ow. Now, if you don't know that joke, somebody can help you in the chat. Now, I promised to get into that story. It kind of links into the decode today for Continuum, the TV series. We're now into season 3. There's one more to go. And guess what? What we're going to show you today is domestic terrorist profiling, in which everybody's a domestic terrorist who doesn't go by the rules. There's also the surveillance state you're going to see. You're also going to see Monsanto, who makes a disease and the cure. Literally all this is in these few episodes that I decoded. There's also a Blackrock mention. It's all here, you guys. Let's get started. First, domestic terrorist programming. Watch.
Break and enter. Criminal trespass. Reckless endangerment.
Just call me a terrorist. That's what we all are to you.
The future is coming. Wants only one thing from them. Obedience.
The future is coming. They want only one thing from them. Obedience. Surveillance state. Supreme power to manipulate humanity with no consequences.
Closing on studio.
Every one of us is under constant surveillance. When the government or a company like Firmitas decides we're too much trouble. What that surveillance
Team one,
means
said rep.
is that our every utterance becomes part of a court case that can be used against us.
To what end?
Every part of the surveillance becomes a court case that can be used against us. And this is what I've been trying so hard to get through to people about. For some reason, people think if I'm not doing anything wrong, what are you on about, Casey? Why do you care if they're watching us? Because this is how they target people that they want to shut up about things they are doing wrong, not you. They. It's a form of blackmail. They surveil you and then they use all this information against you.
Well, Firmitas has an isolated server farm called Black Opal. There's no hard lines in or out. There's no links to the outside world.
So in this instance, you just heard him mention a secret satellite called Black Opal. Well, an opal is a rock. Black Opal. You can't make this up. Blackrock.
You should have come clean about Black Opal.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you know what?
Unreal. Now, in this next scene, more domestic terrorist programming. You're going to hear one of these controllers basically inducing people to police themselves by being loyal to the control mechanism. And then they get rewarded for it. But it's all fear, right? Let's watch.
Do you know what we call citizens who help us apprehend terrorists? Patriots. Loyal after all.
I swear.
So obviously they're flipping the script, as I always say. They're calling terrorists patriots and patriots terrorists. You see the problem here? A true patriot is someone who challenges the control mechanism and the machine and calls out injustice, unfairness, the usury system, who calls out invasion of our privacy, who calls out the technocracy, those are the true patriots because they're going against the entire, it's like swimming up a river. Almost impossible. The fake patriots are the ones that fall right in line. They are join the military for the banker wars, which we all know what's happening. They're paid mercenaries. Those are the fake patriots. So the Bible says they will call evil good and good evil. And it's happening right now. Now, in this next episode, I apologize, I got some allergies. I was out weed eating yesterday, so I'm a little bit congested today. But in this next episode, we see a pandemic that happens in the future. Here you see Kira laying ill. She's been infected. And then just before she dies, Monsanto arrives just in time with a cure. Watch.
Is here. Is here. I swear, the cure is here.
Out comes the cure, and right on the cure, it says San Monto, which of course is Monsanto. And it's a hexagon is their logo. And here comes the cure. And look at this. It's like pink adrenochrome is the cure. This is unbelievable.
My time, Monsanto grows food, develops medicines, vaccines, even saved my life once.
This plant mostly makes agricultural products, herbicides, fertilizers, and not even the weapons-grade ammonium nitrate stuff.
So, if you were on the fence and you're like, Casey, they're not talking about Monsanto, you're crazy. You're just stretching stuff. Even though it says San Monto, right? Some people will still be naysayers, but guess what? You just heard it. You just heard it. Agriculture and pharmaceuticals combined together. And that's exactly what Monsanto is. How do I know? Because I looked it up. Believe it or not, Monsanto was purchased by Bayer Healthcare for $66 billion. Now, that would be another double number. $66 billion. They went from agriculture to medicine. Now, I'm a full disclosure channel in terms of my personal life because I believe the best way to call out anyone who doubts the information that a person is presenting is to be completely transparent. And so, over the years, I've told you guys about my career, my former career. I've told you guys about, I have my Facebook. You see pictures of my family. I don't hide. Okay. And even with that, people still want to call me a shill or run my name through a gematria calculator. Even though I'm a whistleblower and I'm literally exposing these people almost every single show, there are jealous people out there. But anyway, make a long story short, I admitted to you guys that I worked for Bayer Healthcare as part of my career as a pharmaceutical sales rep. And so, to the best of my ability, I have disclosed my personal experience while working for that company. And it's interesting, isn't it? Because it's all fitting in to what's happening right now. It has become part of our decodes in exposing this stuff. Now, back then, I was fast asleep. I had no idea that my personal experience would actually fit in to this. But I think this is how God works. And it's not just me he does this with. He can do this with every single person who works for the kingdom and believes in him. Your personal life experience will fit into waking up. Wow. Now, what is this about? Well, obviously, Bayer had some interest in crops, genetically modified seeds, all these things. And so they obviously bought Monsanto for a reason, didn't they? They bought them for a reason. And this TV series from 10 years ago is explaining it to those who are awake. Now, let me give you the backdrop of this scene here, and I'll play it back because I know that went by kind of quick because I want you to hear this. This is nuts. So the terrorists, right, which in this series are the people that are going after the corporations who have gained complete control and the technocracy over the people. They're actually the good guys. Except the problem is they're depicted as using very barbaric methods. They just kill people on sight. They don't care about collateral damage. Do whatever it takes to wake people up is their mantra. Now, I don't agree with that mantra, right? Because you become part of the problem when you do those tactics. But this is how they're depicting awake people who are awake to this stuff. They're depicting you as a terrorist, even though we're not. And even if you aren't violent, they will say that your thoughts and ideas induce people to violence. Just trust us. We'll take care of it. And the whole time they're plotting against the people and in bed with the corporations and making a bunch of money on top of it. So it's a catch-22, isn't it? Let me play this scene back because the terrorists go in and they take this bioweapon out of this container here that you see on the right of your screen. Monsanto gives it to them, and then they weaponize it into a bioweapon. So Kira and Carlos are investigating this. Watch.
Develops medicines, vaccines, even saved my life once.
This plant mostly makes agricultural products, herbicides, fertilizers, and not even the weapons-grade ammonium nitrate stuff.
Can you tell me if it's dangerous?
You never know what's dangerous until you do. It's a mix of different chemicals, usually found in crop cultivation.
You never know it's dangerous until you do. That's what they want us to believe. We didn't know. We didn't know that Roundup is horrible for the environment and you. We didn't know. Of course they knew. They test all this stuff on monkeys before it ever gets to market, or so we're told. They're supposed to test it. Why would someone make some bizarre compound and just unleash it to millions of customers without fully testing it for years? They should be testing it. Why wouldn't they do this before giving us this stuff? We don't want their stuff unless we know it's healthy for us. But here it is. And they literally admit that it isn't until you mix some of these compounds with other compounds that they become bioweapons. Right? Listen to this. They're telling everything right here.
I may know what this is.
What, chemical weapons are legal in the future?
Solution 16. It's a battleground poison used in the frontier wars of 2066. Purple veins?
Yeah, just bursting through his skin all over his body. So Liberate's figured out how to manufacture it using Samanto's waste chemicals?
And that's why we need the antidote, Alec. We don't have much time.
Samanto created the cure. Don't tell me they also made this.
Did you catch all that? Did you catch it? A chemical weapon that wasn't supposed to be used until the year 2066. Remember the 66 billion? It's all right here for those who are awake. Let's find it on the page. In September 2016, remember, she called it Weapon 16, which is pretty much COVID-19. German chemical company Bayer announced its intent to acquire Monsanto for $66 billion. And then she says, 66? Let's play that back. Unreal. Let's play this whole sequence back. This is too important.
Can you tell me if it's dangerous?
You never know what's dangerous until you do. It's a mix of different chemicals, usually found in crop cultivation.
I may know what this is.
What, chemical weapons are legal in the future?
Solution 16. It's a battleground poison used in the frontier wars of 2066. Purple veins?
Yeah, just bursting through his skin all over his body. So Liberate's figured out how to manufacture it using Samantha's waste chemicals?
And that's why we need the antidote, Alec. We don't have much time.
Sarmiento created the cure. Don't tell me they also made that.
Now, I didn't include the clip, but they actually say that this bioweapon is only activated when water and something else. Cleaning solution. Cleaning solution, water, and air are added to it. And that's what weaponizes it. So sometimes the actual chemical that they give to us might not be poison, but they know for a fact that it's going to be mixed with whatever's in the environment, and it does become weaponized. And this becomes plausible deniability, doesn't it? It's plausible deniability because they can just continue to deny that, oh, we didn't make any poison. We didn't know that it was going to become poison once it did this or touched that. And this is the problem. Now, wow, it's a lot, right? 10 years ago, this episode came out, you guys. 10 years ago. They're talking about disease and cure, as you just heard. How many times have we seen this disease cure theme come up in these movies and TV series? How many times? It's happened about 10 times in stuff we've covered so far, right? And I told you that the disease and cure is really about what? It's Apollo, the ancient god that offered. He basically diseased people and then he gave them the cure. And we all know whose 66th floor penthouse is decked out in Apollo. We all know. Do you see how the numbers mean everything to these people? Do you see how the symbolism is connected by the numbers? Now, tomorrow we will be looking at that famed date, September 11th. And everything that I could scratch together of all of the esoteric and spiritual symbolism. We're not going to debate what happened, who did what, how it happened. We're not going to debate any of that. We're going to talk about specifically building specifications. We're going to talk about spiritual symbolism and how all of this fits into the Bible. That will be tomorrow's show, but let's finish this up here today first. Wow. Now, next, you're going to hear them mention Bitcoin a decade ago. Now, I don't remember the whole Bitcoin timeline and cryptocurrency. I know it was probably in its infancy about 2014. I don't remember crypto in 2014. But apparently it was a thing because they mention it right here. Watch.
During the war, when Sarmiento finally released a remedy for 16, like all military personnel, you got the shot, right?
Yeah.
We're going to beat them to the antidote by 50 years. No per sleeve.
So that was obviously, I'm sorry, I forgot to show that clip. That was obviously vaccine programming, right? Now, here we go with the Bitcoin mention.
You know, BitCurrency's still around. You can buy anything you want on the black market.
You know, you can spare me the good citizen.
So that was obviously programming the false sense of security. Oh, you could just use cryptocurrency and buy anything you want on the black market. They rounded up a lot of people because that was a huge honey trap, wasn't it? People that, oh, we don't have to pay taxes on this. We can buy whatever we want. And then, boom, they bought like a gun clip or something or a gun magazine that was illegal on the black market. And the feds were all over those transactions from the beginning. Now, you're not going to hear those stories because they like to keep all that secret. But they secretly go and round up everybody. They tell you everything's great and free, and it's all just sting operations. That's what cryptocurrency was from the start. Now, this brings us to mask programming from 10 years ago. Whoa, watch this.
You can buy anything you want on the black market.
You know, you can spare me the good citizen speech. You know what I think? I think you're wearing the mask so that I can't identify you later.
What the heck did she just say? I think you're wearing the mask so I can't identify you later. Remember I told you guys that this whole mask thing had something to do with facial recognition, and that maybe they were testing it during COVID. This is why they were so adamant that we wear a mask, because it was like maybe a baseline. You know, I do know a little bit about science, and they need to establish a baseline, don't they? A baseline to be able to run experiments on things like facial recognition. So what better way to establish a baseline than to make everybody wear a mask? And then from there, they have a point that they can go forward from. So this was 2014, talking about concepts and theories that we had for a very long time. Now, for those that are interested, I'll have a video up on the backup channels of these pesky deer. So if you didn't know, over the weekend, it was what was called a velvet buck season. It was a short season, 3 days. It's over now, where if you see a buck with velvet on it, you can take that buck. Only bucks for 3 days. Now, this is a rare season. It's not happened in decades, but for some reason, the deer knew about this. I guess they sent out a memo to the deer, and this makes me wonder about chips and signals and frequencies that our controllers play little games with us. They probably sent out a frequency warning the deer, you know, hey, it's season, get out of the way. We don't want anybody getting free meat. So literally the day after the buck hunt, I had 5 massive 200-pound velvet bucks within 50 yards of my back window, eating all the corn. The day after, then I sat probably about 6 hours in the blind over the weekend trying to see anything. Did not find one deer, let alone a buck, for all the time I spent in the blinds. And the day after, all these bucks show up. I got pictures of it. And so I'll show you that on the backup channel. And also I'll show you the coyote encounter. I'll show you pictures of that on the backup channel. I'll put together a video of the Honey Milk Ranch. I mean, what do you guys think? Are they sending out some kind of signal that tells the buck to stay away, or to go to herd them into certain areas where nobody can take them? I mean, this has to be what's happening. You guys, I didn't see one deer over the whole weekend. Then all of a sudden, magically, soon as the season ended, literally hours after the season ended, because the season ended last night, they all show up. It's like they're having a party. Ha ha, we got the memo. You can't get us. Da, 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 da. I'm like, am I losing it? And so anyway, I thought you guys would get a laugh out of that. Okay, I'm into the chat now. Can't wait for tomorrow's show. Everything you need to know about the spiritual meaning of 9/11. You're not even going to believe some of the stuff. There's a lot of it's review stuff, but some of it's brand new. There was a sculptor inside the tower who sculpted the image of a man with planes flying into him. Dozens of planes flying into a man. He literally died in the towers that day. It's as if he knew. It's as if he knew. We're going to talk about that and all kinds of crazy stuff about the symbolism around the towers. We're going to look at the facade of the towers. We're going to look and count the floors. We're going to count the objects on the face of the towers. We're going to talk about the bottomless pit. We're going to talk about it all. Now, fortunately, there should always be theories about these things that happen. Absolutely. The problem is when one theory tries to discredit another. Okay, you'll notice that I never had like, hotly contested debates about people about what I think exactly happened on that day, right? You know that the history of this channel, I didn't ever shame anybody who had a certain theory about things, about who did it or how it happened or how they fell. We talked about these things, but I never did that. Well, unfortunately, some of these people, some of these channels really hate the esoteric side of this and the spiritual side of this. They don't want to talk about that. And they think that we, in our discussions, are discrediting their scientific analysis. And that makes me sad because some of these channels I really like. And I like the work that they do. And it's just as important to me that there's a scientific explanation for what they believe happened. Okay? And who did it. So we should all be working together, shouldn't we? So some people believe they were turned to dust by an energy weapon. Other people believe that there was explosives there. I'm not going to debate that. I have my feelings about it, but to me, the deeper spiritual meanings are just as important. Okay, so that's what we'll be talking about tomorrow. The key to it all, the missing link, the key to all of it is Building 7, or was Building 7. And years ago, we made an amazing discovery. We didn't make it. The Holy Spirit dropped it in our lap, didn't he? What was the amazing discovery about Building 7, the key to it all, the linchpin, the centerpiece? The key, Building 7, opened exactly halfway through the timeline. It was right smack dab in the middle. 14 years after the whole center opened and 14 years before it would fall. It was exactly the halfway point. And when we made that discovery, we couldn't believe it. What we also couldn't believe was that it was 47 stories tall and opened in the Hebrew year 47. 5747 is the Hebrew year 1987, the halfway point. And remember, that year, a bunch of songs came out about meet me halfway, and we're halfway there. They were like celebrating this. Oh, we're halfway there, living on a prayer. Okay, sorry. I just went off the script there. Right? You can't make this up. And when we found that, we were like, this is crazy. But it's true. It's true. Christy says, Mark C says he's blocked from your channel. Yeah, I unblocked him yesterday. Yeah, he was going around stabbing the back again. You know, this is what people do. They go onto other channels. They say how poorly they're mistreated on this channel. What you don't know about Mark C, even though I unblocked him, because I always give people a second chance, is that he was misbehaving and being very cruel and mean. It's not that he disagreed with the Book of Enoch. It's how he did it. For everybody, respect. If you start disrespecting me, even though you disagree, you will be blocked. So Mark C has been unblocked, so he's welcome to join the channel at any time, even though he went on other channels and stabbed me in the back. That's fine, but you're unblocked, Mark, so come on back and join us. So what else is going on? He was a bad boy. Like I said yesterday, you can tell me you worship the devil and you can stay in this chat. But what I won't put up with is people that have been coming to the channel for a long time who just think that they can be mean and cruel to me and all of us. I don't care if you disagree with the Book of Enoch. You can stay. But don't start drama and trouble and make fun or call me a shill or whatever, okay, that's where you get blocked, okay? I don't remember the specific situation that Mark and I were involved in, but I wouldn't just block him for disagreeing with the Book of Enoch. I don't do that to people, all right? Now, what else is going on? Well, it is stabbing someone in the back when you say, Casey blocked me just for disagreeing with the Book of Enoch. That's not true. It's a lie. Okay. So that's stabbing me in the back. That's making other people think that we just block people for no reason, just because they disagree with us. That's called backstabbing. So that's not why he was blocked. All right, let's move on. Crazy. Yep. Yeah, Bon Jovi. And then remember, they had Over the Top. Remember that? With Sylvester Stallone. All these people are in on this. That came out in 87, and the song was Meet Me Halfway by Kenny Loggins. It's the halfway, right? And they're arm wrestling, remember? Over the Top. Kind of dating myself here, but yeah. So Building 7 was the secret. Because how would they know to open that building 14 years after the center opened at exactly halfway? How would they know to do that? Because they all knew. And to me, that was the most damaging evidence. So, all right. Some of you were listening to that song yesterday. Meet Me Halfway is a great song. I loved that movie, Over the Top, when I was young. But then you realize that all these people are in on this stuff. And remember Bon Jovi got caught lip syncing? What was it? Was it a Super Bowl show? And, oh, that's right. Okay, so Jason says, living on a prayer. So remember we covered Bon Jovi and they showed that the actual mic wasn't even plugged in? The mic connection was literally laying on the ground and not even plugged in. And they were singing whatever song they were singing during like a Super Bowl halftime show or something. You guys remember that? So all these people are posers and players. You guys, people aren't even doing real concerts anymore. They're putting on masks now. What was it? Kanye West? They put on a mask and they just play their records. And then they have dancers come out. There aren't even real concerts anymore where they're actually singing and performing. They're just walking around the stage with masks on. It's crazy, you guys. It's absolutely insane. And people go and worship these people. Insane. What has happened to our world? There isn't even true talent anymore. It's like a mirage, a facade. So I'm really looking forward to tomorrow's show because it's really good every once in a while to, talk about this stuff. I was just going to play a re-upload for you guys tomorrow, but I really need to go through this again myself because it's good for us to never forget. We're in the 23rd year. We're going to talk about xenon, the xenon lights, the 88 xenon lights. We're going to talk about the element xenon and something new that I found about that particular element that ties into all the work that we've been doing about helium. So a lot of this is scientific, you guys, and I'm going to leave you with this because I really want you guys all to show up tomorrow. Xenon was inhaled to treat people for COVID. Wow. I love each and every one of you, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Much love.